So if you followed anything I've said before, I talk about tone, tune, colors, the idea of taking something, putting it into your head, making you believe it, then of course you act and react as if that is real. So then where does that idea come from? Where is the 9/11 tone? And what does the 9/11 tone look like? What does it sound like? So I went in to explore and to find that several years ago, and this is going to be just an encapsulation of what I discovered during that time. And then I will play you the tones at the end so that you can also see the destructive damage of a tone, and also the idea that tones change depending on shape. All right. So then you go back to the idea of words and the fact that gods is dogs flipped and opposite, and you notice that in a lot of these hoax stories, dogs are always prevalent or present. Okay, so then I wanted to find out at what point the tune went out of tune, at what point the corruption happened. All right, so that is a display of that. Then looking at for the corner, the replaced cornerstone, okay, the fallen system, trying to figure out the use of these towers, which are absolutely for tone. I know a lot of people want to talk about energy, and everything's about running your toaster, right? It's well beyond that. These are tones. If you put out a tone across the population, a tone will then keep them in line. It will keep them in line. Okay, so we need to look at several different ways. I have what's called a sine wave there, but also I want to show you the sawtooth, and I want to show you that if I go into, let's say, a square pattern, that you will hear the difference. So then looking at to where these missing keys are. Where are these missing keys located? I've talked to you in the past about the two missing keys, or the two half notes creating the full note. All right. So where are those two half notes, and what are those two half notes? They're shown to you in depictions of keys or crossbones, a skull and crossbones. So that is your skull, that is your head, the receiver, the crossbones being the two replaced half notes, replacing or making the one. All right. The one to rule them all, Saturn, Satan, the idea of the fallen knowledge eating the fruit. All right, so I want to talk about that exact 9/11 note down to the T. I've identified it for you. Okay, I'm going to spend a little bit extra time on this slide just to bring your attention to the far left side. Notice I've placed the two towers, the I/O. The input output, the two towers. The one on the right would be the fallen light or the moon. The one that's not working, the fake love, that idea. Remember, this is something you need to think about. All right? So then the 9/11 crossing over the 10, the I/O. All right? So then what do you have? What is that tone? The tone is the 9116 on the MIDI scale. So I'm looking at the 22nd. I'm looking at a frequency of 29.135 hertz. Do you see how then that will go ahead and reflect perfectly to your 4 or the double 2, the moon return, the 11 making your what? 22 making your what? The idea sparked in your head, the knowledge given to you through the fallen 9/11. Do you notice how the 9/11 goes into the 9/11 or into the 12, into the 3, making the 3 6s, or the 666 also making the 3, or Saturn or Satan. All right. It also leads you where? Into what? Into the 23, or death. Right? That's the abyss. That's what I'm talking about. So between that number, you have what? Here at the bottom, between the A and the B, you have an exact note I've identified at 34.32 milliseconds with a frequency of 29.135 hertz. So what does that sound like? And what can that do? Do you want to, just right at the desktop, we can have an experiment real quick. All right, so once again, just to show you that note that I'm looking at, if you look at the middle frequency hertz, you'll look at the first one is highlighted at 29.135. Adding that up on the point side of the right, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then the 9 plus 2 is the 11. That's your 9/11.
New mystery surrounding One World Trade Center. For about a year, New Yorkers have reported hearing an eerie sound coming from the newly constructed building. They call it haunting, and it's got a lot of people talking. Rick Leventhal joins us now. So, Rick, you went down there. You did some investigative work. What did you learn?
Well, there's clearly a noise. It's not clear exactly where it's coming from. It can create a sound that some are calling eerie, haunting, even moaning. The whistling was first reported by the Tribeca citizen on the day after Thanksgiving. A man who lives a couple blocks from the almost completed One World Trade Tower wrote a local paper and said he first heard the sound during Hurricane Sandy last year and assumed it would be eliminated when the building's framework was finished and the windows installed. Well, then last week in the middle of the night, the neighbor says the tower began whistling again with a slightly different two-toned cry, calling it unmistakable and very chilling. So here it is, and you can judge for yourself.
So that now you see you're dealing with tones and tunes, and tones create power. They most certainly do. Tones, sound, can move things. And in the case of fake news, it's moving people, human beings, flesh and blood around from place to place. In what? In acceptance of what they told you, thus your body needs whatever that is. All right? Do you see what I'm saying? You're fulfilling, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So anyways, what are the tones? Let's look at some of the tones. What I wanted to do with this experiment was to show you, starting at the 9/11 frequency of 29.135 and then timesing that by 9, going up and just looking at how it can disperse particles or anything that's like, think of a powder. Okay, so in this case it would be keef, or hashy keef, powdery hash. But you will see the movement. This is, like I said, the first time out. I did discover something, and it's going to take more looks, and and you'll find out. You'll see it right in here where you see the actual point that things happen, and then there's a fine tuning that you would go there. Think of that as being directed energy, directed beam, directed sound, directed light. This can be transcribed into light, into energy, into sound, even into sound that's so high above our hearing that we wouldn't hear it, or even below hearing to where you would just feel it. You would sense it on the one end, or you'd feel it on the other. You would hear it in the middle. Okay? So then with that said, here's the experiment. Please, again, turn down the volume if it gets too loud, and just turn it off. If you don't want to have to hear it, you can still see the movement I'm talking about. And just the idea, just get the general idea of destruction. Think about the walls of Jericho idea. Think about the idea, if I want to make a man-made earthquake, for example, anything like that. This goes into all that. This goes into colors. It takes care of words and tones. Please, so anyways, enjoy. Okay, this will be that experiment. I'm going to close you into the test chamber now, all right? What I've put there is some what's called hash, powdered hash. I'm going to bring you up to 100%. Checking speakers 100%. Start volume 100. Just going to bring this up for 30 seconds. Going to bring it up to a number of 3 times the starting value of 29.135. All right, so that's that 9/11 code times 3, making this 9 and 6, or your 69. All right, just an idea, just to show you how through, and I will show you the sine wave through the triangle, through the square, and through the sawtooth. You'll see that these signs are familiar to you now that you know the older alphabets. That of course is being the Zion, the double 7. All right, here we go. There'll be some audio distortion coming soon as frequencies play off each other. each other competing. Okay, did you notice that? Through just 3 times the power, and that 87.405 hertz is a very small amount of power. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and do one last thing, if my speakers can handle it, and we're going to do the 87.405 into the 9th power. So I want to go ahead and bring this up by 6 more, so that's 524.43. Okay, I'm going to go as long as I can. And we're going to bring it right into the destruction code. Hold on. I think we found something. Hold on. Right there, man. Okay, let's put 293 stop. 293, 290 to 293. Go. Make them move. Man, my ears are hurting. Alright, that's it for the experiment. Experiment's done. You can now see that you have definitely, you can identify a destruction code in there, and I'd say it's right there in this area. You know, I don't want to destroy anything, but that's that. Alright, cheers.